Last thing, a couple things to close on here, other kind of tidbits, but one is has to do with personal responsibility. We've talked about this thing before, but again, in North Dakota, we're doing this with a mix of two things. I mean, if you have massive mandatory required shutdowns, which some people clamor for, but no one follows those orders, it doesn't work. If you have no mandatory government shutdowns, but everybody's practicing personal responsibility, that could work great. We're trying to do a blend here of the right touch in terms of government guidance and restrictions at a state level, delegating authority to the locals, but also strongly relying on what's made North Dakota great forever, which is the people that have lived here have always exhibited tremendous personal responsibility. And so as we think about that, again, washing your hands is the number one best way to get things done. We know that you have an opportunity to get outside. Walking could become your new best friend as a way to enjoy and sort of learn. Humans were built for walking. We've kind of built a society around moving around in automobiles, and walking might seem like a chore sometime, but I would recommend, if you haven't gone for a walk for a while, I might recommend it to try it for people, and you might turn out that you'll rediscover what humans were actually built for. Again, in terms of contact, again, learning the right way to cover a cough, cover it with either a Kleenex or tissue or into your sleeve. And if you do end up coughing in your hand, make sure that you are washing your hands quickly. And then again, use an opportunity to clean and disinfect surfaces. And then again, as we're saying, keep social distance 6 feet. People are asking all the time about what they can or can't do. You can do just about anything you want to as long as you're following these rules and staying more than 6 feet away from other people. And again, as the weather gets nicer, there's a lot of things that you can do. I mean, again, if you want to take your kids to the playground, go there, bring along a bottle of hand sanitizer, and again, you have an opportunity to keep physical distance but still get activity. People have been asking us about mass gatherings. Again, we've been encouraging people to not hold or avoid mass gatherings. And again, our faith-based community this last weekend, complied, I think, almost completely across the state, found other ways to deliver their messages and stay connected with their congregations, and we applaud them for that work. And so the non-essential gatherings, again, the guidance remains the same as we've given, but we've had some springtime is when the ranchers in our state are moving their calves and heading to the sale barns. And again, in terms of the sale barns themselves, if you're there because you're a buyer or a seller, you should be there. If you're there because this is where you like to go hang out and you're just part of the public, you might be considered non-essential to that activity, and out of respect for the ranchers that we need to keep healthy in our state. Again, if you've don't have actual business activity to transact there, we would ask you to stay away. And again, if the sale barns are providing food at those gatherings, we'd ask that be served by whoever's hosting that in a manner that's acceptable for food services, or asking people to bring their own or discontinue food service, but figure out a way to get it done. But just use common sense as a way to mitigate risk, create opportunities. Some of the sale barns can do video and have offered that in the past. If you haven't, this is a good time, just like our schools, just like anything else, to think about how do you up your technology game to do that. But make sure, again, the main thing is make sure there's adequate space to maintain and accommodate social distancing. And of course, if you're sick, if you're a buyer or a seller and you're sick, again, just like we would ask people to stay home from work, I know that ranchers might say there's nobody else I can send, but this is a time when maybe neighbors can help neighbors, or you've got family members, or that son or daughter that's you've always wanted to come back into the ranching business. Stay home if you're sick. Maybe they'll come home. Maybe they're out of college right now. Maybe they're not at work. Maybe they can come home and help out. But again, working together, we can work through these in a common sense way and allow people to keep their livelihoods moving, particularly in the important area of agriculture and food, because this is essential. We're at the beginning. We're at the end of the supply chain for a lot of medical supplies. We're at the beginning of the supply chain for feeding the world, and North Dakotans have to keep doing our end depend on feeding the world.